Open to some type of summer gas tax moratorium. This is a measure two candidates for the White House also support.
Would such a move further stimulate the economy? Let's ask our Fox panel, including Gary Kaltbaum from GaryK.com, Victoria Barrett from Forbes, and Peter Schiff, author of Crash Proof. Peter, we're going to ask you about gold in a second. It is way down. Liz suggested you'd say it's a buying opportunity.
All right, sure.
Okay. Let's talk about this moratorium idea. Gimmick or something of substance?
It's a gimmick. I mean, first of all, remember, it's not gasoline prices that are rising. It's that our money is losing value. Why is our money losing value? Because of what Congress is doing, because of what the Federal Reserve is doing. Instead of focusing on the symptoms of their irresponsible government spending and money printing, why don't they focus on the cause of it and have a sane monetary policy, raise interest rates, stop printing money, and let the government cut back on spending? If they're really concerned about high gas prices, that's what they need to do. Because if they keep doing what they're doing, prices are going much higher.
Well, let's get back to this tax moratorium, Gary K. And, Samuel Bodman, the Energy Secretary, was on our program just a couple of days ago saying, I'm not running for any office. This is a stupid idea to give this moratorium because bridges need to be built. We have an infrastructure that needs those tax revenues, and therefore it's just a plain, outright dumb idea. What do you think?
I'm still waiting for the box of Hostess Twinkies from the government. It seems like they just want to give out money for everything to anybody, and you just can't. And I have to say something. This money for the gas goes towards building bridges. So if you're taking from one place, where you getting it from the other place? It's basically insane as far as I'm concerned. It sounds like a nice idea, but we're back to the election year, and let's give this, let's give that so we can get some votes.
Yeah,
That's
but
all
Victoria,
it is,
we saw how well that money worked in rebuilding bridges or maintaining the upkeep in Minneapolis. I mean, the fact is that sometimes this money doesn't go where it's supposed to go. Sometimes it's used by local politicians to get votes by going for other things. So if we give the drivers a little relief, what's wrong with that?
Well, but one estimate I saw was that only 2/3 of that money actually goes to roads and bridges, period. There's a lot of it that goes into the other category. Look, this at the end of the day wouldn't make a huge difference to consumers. We're talking about, roughly $2 in savings every time you fill your tank, assuming that gas prices remain where they are. So it's not a big deal. I'm in favor of getting rid of it, though, because it's kind of one of these stealth taxes that you pay and you don't realize you're paying it, and I think that's
like payroll taxes that come out of your salary.
Yeah, where you don't really have a sense that you're paying them, and so you don't have an expectation of, well, gee, what am I getting for that? And that's where we get into this kind of black box of Washington, where we pour money into Washington and we don't quite see what we're getting out. So I'm in favor for that reason, but at the end of the day, it's really about politics, not policy. It's political move.
Yeah. Our government is years behind the curve again. And President Bush saying we should be drilling, he had both houses of Congress years ago and absolutely nothing got done. They could have been tougher a few years ago, and we'd be maybe a little bit better off right now. But this is a problem and it's sticking around.
One of the worst parts of it, too, is some people, I think Hillary Clinton among them, are talking about actually having a windfall profit tax on the oil companies to offset the loss of revenue. Now, if your goal is to ease, the problems in the oil industry and for the price of oil, the worst thing that you can do, the last thing you'd want to do, is to raise taxes on the people or the companies who are actually producing the oil.
Well, yeah, that doesn't ever work, I think. The windfall tax concept just doesn't simply work, because just as soon as some companies do well, they then do poorly a couple of quarters or a couple of years later.
It's one of the reasons that I try to invest in companies abroad, because, I own a lot of oil stocks around the world, and I never hear in Australia, I never hear in Singapore about windfall profit taxes on my oil companies.
Well, gang,
I hear about them here.
Gang, we are bearing the lead here, which is that oil is down significantly today. Now, Gary K., of course, we had Phil Flynn in from Alron, who knows this thing very well. He said it didn't go below 115, and that's sort of a magic number. A lot of contracts are based on that 115. But what happens if the market just takes care of this problem by itself?
Look, I sure hope so. Look, the one thing I've seen over the last few days, it feels like a lot of the speculation is starting to come out of all the commodities areas, and I'm hopeful we can get some relief. But I got to tell you, nothing good happens unless the oil prices come down. We're losing airlines by the day right now as far as bankruptcy, and it's just a killer for business and the consumer. I'm hoping something happens here. I'd love to see it under 100.
Yeah, but commodity prices, though, it's not a function of speculation. It's not the speculators that are driving these markets. It's not. It's money printing.
It's part speculation, though.
No, it's
partly speculators.
No, the speculators admit that it's part speculation.
So what? Where were they?
We had both Phil and Eric Bolling saying at least part of it is speculation.
Well, they're wrong. I mean, there are speculators involved, but if you look at the oil market,
you're 100% right. Everybody else is wrong.
If you look at the oil market, right,
no, listen,
oil is not being stockpiled.
But it's true what Peter's saying in that the past 2 days when we saw the dollar weaken, we saw oil go higher, and then today when we see the dollar strengthen, we start to see oil come back. So obviously it's got a lever involved, but
the two
I
are
can't say
related.
it's both, Peter.
No, it's...
I mean, you can't say it's not both.
No. Oil prices are a function of the supply of money in the world. We're printing dollars. The rest of the world is printing their currency to keep the dollar from collapsing.
So hurricanes have nothing to do with it.
No,
but not 100%.
Yeah.
It's not 100% of it.
Well, then it's 99%.
Victoria, go ahead.
What's the difference?
Go ahead, Victoria.
Oil is traded in dollars. So if you're in Euroland and your world is in the euro currency, oil looks cheap to you right now. So you're going to invest in oil futures. That's how the two are linked. You can't separate
these
them.
aren't speculators.
On the one hand,
the oil's getting used.
It is a function of currency, but it is also speculators seeing the value in oil because of the weak currency.
That's the last word from sensible Victoria.